It began in 1979, just weeks after a near meltdown at 3 Mile Island.
I got a call asking if I were interested in doing a book on history of 3 Mile Island, and I said, it just happened 3 weeks ago. What do you mean a history?
The founders realized that the practical use of history could have a future as a business. In 1981, they founded History Associates Incorporated. So what does a history company do?
Traditionally, History Associates has looked at being on what I would call the cutting edge of change in the way you apply history.
Historians and archivists at History Associates will tell you they're always applying history in creative ways, answering historical questions, telling stories, and preserving the past. Phil Cantelon was at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. He happened to hear a frustrated visitor ask for help from a staff member. Cantelon handed the man a business card and offered to do the research.
It was the Commissioner of Land Records in the state of Texas, and they were doing research on San Padre Island off the coast of Texas because storms kept changing all the land, and they wanted to have a history of the shape of the island.
The commissioner asked Cantelon to meet him with a contract the next day.
He signed it, and suddenly I realized history was appreciated and valued in a different way by people I would never have approached before.
As it turned out, many clients saw the value in historical research, especially in legal issues. In 2004, J.P. Morgan Chase faced a problem that could only be solved by historical research.
The City of Chicago passed an ordinance that required anybody doing business with the city to provide a report on their potential connections to slavery.
J.P. Morgan Chase had to investigate the history of hundreds of its predecessors, dating back to the late 1700s. The bank hired History Associates to carry out the research. The investigation ultimately focused on 2 Louisiana banks dating from the 1830s.
The research in Louisiana was something that was a little different from anything we've done before. In the first case, half the records were in French, so we had to have people who could actually read these very obscure 19th century French banking transactions. And we were looked at about 40 different parishes, 40 different county records scattered across the state. The real challenge there was finding ways to orchestrate the research that was going on in the field.
Researchers collected details on thousands of bank transactions. They compiled the information into a single report. The bank released these results to the public, a move that received wide praise. Over the years, History Associates wrote dozens of histories, but books are only one way to tell a story. In 2001, DuPont asked History Associates to create an online corporate history, a new concept at the time. The DuPont Heritage website is now a valuable resource for employees of the company, as well as journalists, students, and other online visitors. In 2005, the American Battle Monuments Commission decided to build a new visitor center at the American Military Cemetery in Normandy, France. The cemetery has always had this extremely powerful emotional component. What was lacking was a story to go with the names written on the headstones. History Associates collaborated with other museum professionals to tell the story, recounting the World War II D-Day invasion through personal accounts, photographs, and other materials from archives in the United States, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. In 1984, historians researching the history of Texas Instruments found stacks of unorganized documents in a company warehouse. They recommended an archives program. The concept became reality after the CEO discovered that a recently retired executive completely emptied out his file cabinets when he left. This led to the launch of the company's line of archives and records management services, projects for diverse groups, from the National Football League Players Association to the National Federation of the Blind. As clients started looking at using digital technologies for preserving and accessing the past, so did History Associates. In 1993, the National Library of Medicine wanted to reach a larger audience for its scientific manuscript collections. It hired archivists at History Associates to join a team responsible for implementing a new digital manuscript program. This led to the Profiles in Science website, a pioneering effort in using the web to provide access to archival collections. America's national parks have a common goal of preserving the country's cultural heritage, but each park has a different challenge in managing its collections. Since 2001, History Associates has tailored archival programs for dozens of different parks, from Fort Union Historic Trading Post on the border of North Dakota and Montana to Independence National Historic Park in downtown Philadelphia. Today, archivists continue to work for the National Park Service at sites throughout the U.S. and its territories.
The key thing has been our adaptability. We've adapted to changes in the marketplace, sometimes by identifying new opportunities, sometimes by responding to new opportunities, but the market that we serve has constantly been changing.
History Associates is still applying history in creative ways. From working to develop content for interactive tables at the National World War I Museum in Kansas City, to working on the walkable timeline at Orange County Great Park in Irvine, California, to collaborating with the Civil War Trust to develop a self-guided tour of the battles at Gettysburg. After 30 years, helping clients achieve real solutions to the challenges of telling their stories, preserving the past, and answering questions. History Associates will keep striving to be the best company in history, looking forward to what's in store in the next 30 years.